Every night is game night. After hours, our continued conversation with Brad Tolton from Level 99 Games. Yo, my peoples, what's up? Hey, welcome back. Hopefully you've listened to our episode 48, which we talk about expansions and some games with Brad Tolton from Level 99 Games. That was an awesome conversation, and we have more for you. So without further ado, here is Brad and Anthony and myself.
How long do you think the after comments will take? Do you want me to stay on for a few more minutes?
Yeah, I mean, maybe talk a little bit about Seventh Cross.
Okay, sure.
Because that's something that you have fired up.
Yeah, and that's something we are building with solo, because it's pure co-op. So we're going to be putting a lot of work into the actual solo mode of that.
Or actually, you know what? Because Seventh Cross isn't coming out for a little while, right?
It's going to be like a next year release. Yeah.
Oh yeah, it's gotten delayed that much.
Well, it's basically. I'm not gonna stick to the schedule if I'm not happy with the game. That's as a small developer, that's a luxury we have. I can just say nope, next year.
Okay, so the Kickstarter is gonna be next year.
Yeah.
Okay, so
but they'll probably kickstart earlier next year, and then it'll be available late next year.
Cool. So actually, let's hold off because one of the things that we do is we do a preview series where we just do a deep dive on Kickstarters that are on. That are launching. So it's like, people who have questions, we usually kind of look at the comments page and, what people are saying and, talk about the games and, let people have as much information so they can purchase advice. So maybe we could just kind of hold off on that and get back in touch with you when the Kickstarter is ready to launch. Okay.
Cool. So, hey, I have a question for you guys as solo gamers. So when you play a solo game, what do you look to get out of it? Like, what's the aside from, the entertainment value, like what makes you feel good about your play?
You go first, buddy. You've been doing this longer than I have.
I don't know. It depends on the day. Sometimes it's just to unwind. Like I spend all day at the computer, so getting to do something tactile and separate is, without a screen attached to it is nice. And sometimes it's, I want to build something or create something. So, playing a game, we're actually producing something. Like kind of like the feeling you get in playing a Euro, but like by yourself. The games that support that. So,
I think I understand.
Yeah. So like, I think there's a definite recipe for it, and I call it the adventure puzzle. So like, the best solo games, like if you look in the One Player Guild, we did our top 10 and we did like a people's choice. These were the best solo games. It was Mage Knight, the board game. It was Robinson Crusoe. It was Arkham Horror LCG. It was Lord of the Rings LCG. What do all these games have in common? Like they are all richly thematic. So, they all kind of inform, like you kind of get transported a little bit, and like they do a really, really good job. Like in none of these games is the theme very pasted on. You could argue one way or the other, but at least they put a lot of effort into, great components and great style. And, some of them have like really great writing, especially with the LCGs. So you get the adventure part, but there's also that puzzle. So imagine if you could you took a Sudoku and you also took like a really great novel. And you merge that, and that's where the board game. That's the best solo board game. Like even a game like Friday. So I don't know. Do you know Friday by Freedom?
Yeah, Friday is actually the one solo game I have played.
Yeah. So
Friday is my best reference.
It's a super puzzly game, but I don't think it would be as popular as it is without the stupid guy, scratching his head with -1. Like that adds something. Like it takes that game a really good, because there's a lot of really good little puzzler games that I don't think Friday's better than those games, but what Friday did was it managed to weave theme in a way that sets it apart. So like games that do a lot to integrate theme into the puzzle I think those are the best solo games.
Okay.
Well, so it sounds like what you like with Seventh Cross. That's like a Castlevania type game, right?
Yeah. It's Castlevania type. It's well, I'll tell you about the mechanic we have. You can tell me what you think of it. But we have a this grid, and that's all your equipment goes on this grid. And in order to go through different doorways in the castle, you have to have certain symbols active. Like maybe you need a bomb to blast through this wall, or you need a key to unlock this door, or you need a jump to get over this obstacle or up to this room, or a rope or whatever. All those are different symbols on your board that are generated by the equipment you have. And as you activate it, it shifts your board around, and then as your board shifts, it changes. So some of these tiles flip over, and then they no longer have the same symbols that you've expected or that you've come to rely on. And so part of it is it's an optimization puzzle where you have a certain amount of energy each turn. The bosses are chasing you through the castle. The corruption in the castle is increasing and causing monsters to get stronger, and also pushing you towards the end game. And you have to explore the whole complex and reach all these different plot points, and then using this tool. Once you reach the plot points, then the big bad appears, and he gives some kind of second puzzle. Like you have to escape the castle, or you have to go through and kill these specific monsters using this certain weapon, or kind of like a haunt in Betrayal: A House on the Hill. And then you do all that, and the game ends. So that's sort of where it's at right now.
That sounds like really puzzly. It almost reminds me of, God, what's that video game? It wasn't Catherine.
Oh yeah, I remember Catherine. Whether you pull the blocks.
Yeah, you pull the blocks like because you're going up, and there's like a different puzzle as you reach like the different layers and stuff like that.
That game is so good. That game is so good.
Did I get the right visual, or is your thing kind of more involved?
Well, the gear grid is a little, I'd say, I don't know. I guess it's that level, where you kind of want to use certain areas of a grid because yes, I need to move in this way, but also yes, I need to get away from this boss, and also yes, I don't want to like use up this card because it's going to flip over, or maybe I do want to flip it over because the symbols in the back are better or worse. So you get something like like a crossbow, and it's really good range attack, but once it flips over, then you've got to basically wind it up through your grid again before you can use it. Or if you have something like, some weapons are better or worse. Like if you have a really, I don't know, what's a good example? We're still kind of getting the gear list together, but sometimes you have something that lets you sneak through traps, and that's really useful. But if you use it too much, then it's gone. Or if you, maybe you need something else in that row, and the only way to get it is to waste a charge of your trap avoiding skill.
Mm-hmm.
So
that sounds really awesome.
Those kind of judgments.
And then the theme integration, like what's the, like I don't hear a lot of Castlevania in that. I guess that's just like the mechanical end of it.
Yeah, so when you're exploring, there are a couple different kinds of features in the castle that you encounter. But the three big ones are plot points, discoverables, and monsters. And we call them bosses because there are only like 5 in the whole castle. Mm-hmm. And they're really big. Like it probably takes like, what's the word? It takes your whole party a good 2 rounds to kill a typical boss. So it's a big deal. Like you probably will only kill like 2 or 3 of the 5 in the whole castle because they're really there to threaten you and to push you through different routes and not necessarily to be like killable obstacles. Mm-hmm. But anyway, when you reach a discoverable point in the castle, you encounter an NPC basically, and that's a paragraph adventure segment, kind of like like Arabian Nights or like some of your LCGs, like a cutscene
in a video game.
Style. Mm-hmm. And every one of those comes with a choice. You can choose, light path or dark path is kind of the oversimplified way of putting it. It's more like Paragon and Renegade and Mass Effect if you've played that.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
But you get a handful of experience cards, and the experience cards have votes on them. You can vote light path or dark path. And so when you encounter an NPC and you have to make this choice, we all get an experience point, or we all get 2 experience points, and we all throw one of them back. And the one we throw back determines which path that is chosen by the party. The one we keep is used to buy skills, and each skill has two sides, has a light side and a dark side. So if you make the dark side decisions, then you're left with dark EXP, and if you make the light decisions, you're left with light EXP. So you're deciding based on the way you want the story to branch, but also on what you think is going to lead your party the best path through the castle, because they all have multiple endings, and also based on which skills you want for your build to actually survive through all the challenges ahead.
Cool. No, that sounds like you got all the elements. I mean, I guess it's a question of like how it all comes together and everything, but to me, it sounds really fun.
The theming is really strong. I think it comes through pretty well. I don't know how I'm gonna, like, the game is totally playable one player. Like the numbers work out and it balances just fine. So I don't know how much I'll have to adjust it. I'll probably have to adjust the voting a little bit to make it clearer. But yeah, it's so that's where it's at currently.
All right. Well, thank you so much for coming on.
Yeah, thank you guys so much for having me along. It's been a lot of fun, and I appreciate the opportunity to talk about some games and talk about expansions.
Yeah,
I like the topic. I thought it was a fun topic to talk about, and a little bit of a chance to vent on expansion saturation that we have.
Yeah, we didn't get as much into like the Fantasy Flight stuff until they pop type.
Yeah,
you dropped a little X-wing in there, but
I mean, a lot of it is just numbers. And if you think of your publishers as more like robots that are just playing by the numbers as auto players, their behavior makes sense a lot better. Because really, like, once you get to that size, you can't afford to think about anything except what's going to be the most profitable thing to print. Because you're going to print something, there's a slot there, and it's going to be filled. And why print anything other than the most profitable thing that we think it'll be?
Yeah.
So,
all right, cool,
especially
man.
now that they're Asmodee.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the thing, is like the more you agglomerate, the more that becomes true. Like for me, I could say like, oh well, maybe I'm willing to not make so much money for this creative endeavor. But Fantasy Flight, they don't think that way, because it's there's a lot of people in the chain.
I think Asmodee, like, aren't they run by like a venture capital firm or something?
Probably.
Where, like,
once you get to that size, it's kind of inevitable.
Yeah, and like they're looking to kind of maximize an investment and then kind of move on. I don't know exactly where I read that, but it made sense,
Yeah, I mean, any kind of company that produces goods on that scale, they have a lot of people that are thinking about the bottom line and nothing else. And I think that's really all there is to it. Is once the people at the top who decide what gets printed are not all close enough to the ground level, then that's just how it is. It's just the realities of business, I think.
No, but this has been super great. I mean, definitely when Seventh Cross is ready to hit, we'll be willing to support you as much as we can.
Well, thanks, and I'll make sure that I spend some more time on these solo thinking about these solo modes. So if you have any more tips to coach me,
Hey man, there's 8,000 of us. There's 8,000 of us in the solo Facebook guild. I think we're the second largest BGG guild behind the Dice Tower at this point.
Really? Well,
yes.
In that case, one thing we're planning to do is once we get to a close enough state, we're going to put Seventh Cross on Tabletop Simulator, and we're going to invite play groups to play through the campaigns. So I will get in touch with the group at that point. And
yes, that'll be cool. That'll be cool. Awesome.
Awesome. Well, thank you guys so much for the time, and have a great evening.
Yeah, you too.
Bye-bye.
And that's going to go ahead and do it for another episode of Everyday's Game Night After Hours. We would like to thank Brad Tolton from Level 99 Games for about the 7th or 8th time at this point, which is fine, because anytime a content creator wants to take time from their Gen Con prep to come on the show, they deserve all the thanks they can get. So there you go. Before we sign off, I know I did this at the end of episode 48, but I think this is worth it for people who like free stuff. Who doesn't like free stuff? So the Board Gamers Anonymous website, which is the home of Every Night is Game Night, we have relaunched, and I think that we look better than ever. And to celebrate this, we are running a contest. So if you are interested, please go over to the website, again, boardgamersanonymous.com, follow the directions, and you can be one of 3 winners to win $50. Who doesn't want $50? So yeah, hit up that website, and good luck to everybody who enters. So I think that's going to be it. Stay tuned next week. We have more awesome solo games and just general awesome games content for you. Later, everybody.